Republicans refuse to give them up or down vote, a simple yes or no vote. Republicans simply don't want President Obama to make any appointments at all to this vital court. None, zero. Further, only 23 district court nominations have been filibustered in the entire history of our country. 23. But you know what? 20 of them have been in the last 4.5 years. 230 plus years. 3. Last 4.5 years. 20. That's not fair. With 1 out of every 10 federal judgeships vacant, millions of Americans who rely on courts that are overworked and understaffed are being denied the justice they rightly deserve. Mr. President, more than half of the nation's population lives in parts of the country that have been declared a judicial emergency. No one has worked harder than the presiding officer to move judges. Presiding officer is the chairman also of the Judiciary Committee. No one knows the problem more than the presiding officer. Mr. President, the American people are fed up with this kind of obstruction and gridlock. The American people, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, are fed up with this gridlock, this obstruction. The American people want Washington to work for American families once again. Mr. President, I'm on their side, which is why I propose an important change to the rules of the United States Senate. The present Republican leader himself said, and this is a direct quote, "The Senate has repeatedly changed its rules as circumstances dictate," close quote. He's right. In fact, the Senate has changed its rules 18 times by sustaining or overturning the ruling of presiding officer in the last 36 years, during the tenures of both Republican and Democratic majorities. The change we propose today would ensure executive and judicial nominations an up or down vote on confirmation. Yes, no. The rule change will make cloture for all nominations other than the Supreme Court a majority threshold vote, yes or no. The Senate is a living thing, and to survive it must change, as it has over the history of this great country. To the average American, adapting the rules to make the Senate work again is just common sense. This is not about Democrats versus Republicans. This is about making Washington work regardless of who's in the White House or who controls the Senate. To remain relevant and effective as an institution, the Senate must evolve to meet the challenges of this modern era. I have no doubt my Republican colleagues will argue the fault is ours. It's the Democrats' fault. I can say from experience that no one's hands are entirely clean on this issue. But today, the important distinction is not between Democrats and Republicans. It's between those who are willing to help break the gridlock in Washington and those who defend the status quo. Is the Senate working now? Can anyone say the Senate is working now? I don't think so. Today, Democrats and Independents are saying enough is enough. To change the rules regarding presidential nominees will apply equally to both parties. When Republicans are in power, these changes will apply to them just as well. That, Mr. President, is simple fairness. And it's something both sides should be willing to live with to make Washington work again. That's simple fairness. Note the absence of quorum.